sin was heavy, chains break at the weight of your glory. I was an orphan, now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is here. I have a future, my eyes are open, 'cause when you call my name, I ran out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name, and I out of the darkness into your glorious day.
Good morning, rooted men. A happy and blessed Monday morning. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving and also a Thanksgiving weekend. Again, I think we had a pretty powerful service and Bible study yesterday. I hope you got a chance to be a part of. Let's say hi to a few people, and then we'll get going into our devotion. We're still in the book of Ecclesiastes in chapter 8. We got a few verses that we're going to look at this morning. It looks like my video and audio is good, so we'll keep on going. Let me scroll down here. There's my cousin, Dave Donnelly. Good morning, Max. I see Ken Gooch, and I see Bert Reggiani. There's Bert Reggiani. Sound is broken up. Okay, hold on.
All right, how about that? Is that any better? Testing 1, 2, 3. Test. Is that any better? Please let me know. Please let me know. Please let me know. Yes, Chris Connolly says the sound's better. All right, thank you, Chris. Yeah, Bert Reggiani says we're all good. Thank you. So we got Chris Connolly, Bert Reggiani. I'm out there on X. I got a new microphone, and I guess it's not working correctly. So we'll have to look at that. All right. That's it. Let me pull up the verses that we're going to look at today. And then let me hit this button right here. And I'm going to go to it myself. A man cannot know God's ways. It's one of the key things that is embedded in the very purpose of the book of Ecclesiastes. It's the contrast that we human beings looking out at this world on our own, from our own perspective, our own limited knowledge, our own limited view, is always going to be more distorted because, well, we're not God. I'm like, God has perfect vision. He sees eternity all at one time. He sees everything in a moment, and in a moment, everything. And so it is why the writer of Proverbs says that we should not lean on our own understanding, that we should trust God, that we should be still and know that He's God, that we can only see this much, but He can see everything, especially because of sin. Imagine that Adam and Eve, before they sinned, could see and understand things way more deeply than they could after they sinned, because they were corrupted. So here we are trying to look out at the world and trying to figure out the godlike things with a mind and a heart that is a bit twisted and limited. So the goal is to understand that if we try to do this on our own, then life's vanity. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't seem to balance in our brains. But if we look at things from God's perspective, and we look at God's perspective as an eternal God who is working towards an eternal kingdom, and that this world matters less to him than the one that he is creating for all eternity, that's only a perspective that he can give us. So here's what he says in verse 14. There is a vanity that takes place on earth, that there are righteous people to whom it happens according to the deeds of the wicked, and there are wicked people to whom it happens according to the deeds of the righteous. What he's saying is things look backwards. They look upside down. Why do the righteous people face illnesses and deaths and loss and hurt and shortened lives, while the wicked seem to be able to get wealthy, and they seem to be able to escape certain accountabilities, and they seem to be able to do what they want to do without the negativity? He says, I said, this is also vanity, meaningless. It doesn't make any sense. And then he says, and I commend joy. For man has nothing better under the sun to do but to eat and drink and be joyful. For this will go with him in his toil through the days of his life that God has given him under the sun. What is he saying? He's saying, stop trying to answer God-like questions. Yes, it may appear that the wicked get away with everything and the just seem to suffer. It would be better that you focus just on your life and what it is God has called you to be and called you to do on a daily basis. For you see, this world matters little to him, but the souls that are existing in this world matter the most. And their eternal destiny is what's most important. So yes, it rains on the just and the unjust. It appears at times those who are believers in Jesus Christ face tribulations and trials. It's because this world is ruled by an enemy who comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So Christians are persecuted, and Christians are killed, and Christians face troubled times. But it is they're living for another kingdom rather than this one that shouts out a message that there's more. There's more to what meets the eye. We don't see it all, but God does. And so we should stop focusing on all those what ifs and what therefores, and we ought to be thinking about what's before us today, this very day. A day in which we're still living on this earth and our hearts beating and our lungs are going in and out, and we are believers in Jesus Christ who have a chance to live righteously and faithfully in a world that is confused by us, but also, maybe, just maybe, might see our good works and end up glorifying God who is in heaven, might see our lives and wonder, how is it that we can still have hope and peace and joy? For this will go with him in his toil through the days of his life that God has given him under the sun. When I applied my heart to know wisdom and to see the business that is done on earth, how neither day nor night do one's eyes see sleep. Then I saw all the work of God, that man cannot find out the work that is done under the sun. However much man may toil in seeking, he will not find it out. Even though a wise man claims to know, he cannot find it out. Let me pull myself back into the screen here. We talked about this in Bible study yesterday. that we need to be cautious about asking God questions. Again, our minds are tainted and we are weakened by our sin. We are not fully who we will be and are growing to become. So we should settle. With the blessings that God gives us each and every day, we should settle in the relationships that we have, and we should seek to live them out as God's sons and daughters. And let the worrying about the whys and what fors on a grand scale, well, let's leave them up to God. Let's let Him deal with those situations. All right, I think I'm going to leave it at that. Let's see, Chuck came on board. Shalom, gentlemen. All right, blessings on your day. Make it a firmly rooted day, and may someone see Jesus in us today. Peace.